Hey, greetings gathered and scattered. Here we are, week 2 of the video gathering in the Word. It looks like many of you are actually watching the video, so that's very cool. This week's verse is familiar, just so you know. You're going to recognize it. You might not recognize it in the Christian Standard Bible version, but you'll know the verse. It's from John chapter 3, verse 16. For God loved the world in this way. He gave His one and only Son, so that everyone who believes in Him will not perish, but have eternal life. Very familiar verse, right? I remembered it as a child from the King James Version. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him will not perish, but have everlasting life. You see the references to this verse at football games. People make big posters and hold up signs that say John 3:16. Well, when you really look at the first of this verse, it begins with the word for. For God loved the world. Well, when you see that, that's like a therefore. If there's a for there, that means there's something before the for. So we need to know what comes before the for. And Jesus is giving this message where He is telling them to remember how Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, and how if they would just believe and look on the serpent, they would be healed. And so He goes into that by saying that the Son of Man needs to be lifted up. The serpent was lifted up. By faith they were healed. Jesus is lifted up. Why? Because of God's incredible love. So we look to Jesus for salvation. We look to Jesus for spiritual healing. Jesus would be lifted up. We would believe and be healed. See, that's why the for is at the beginning of John 3:16, because He's referencing Moses lifting up the serpent, and Jesus would ultimately be lifted up. A lot of scholars believe that this could also refer to the ascension, that Jesus would resurrect and rise. Either way, by faith, God loved us so that everyone who believes could have eternal life. Glad you're listening. See you next time.